said this once and I'll say it again. If you don't like kids, don't work with them. Let's get into it, y'all.
Two women are facing charges tied to alleged assaults of children at a Catawba County preschool. This week, police accused 46-year-old Cheryl Dobbs of abusing up to 16 toddlers at Maiden Rosenwald Academy. Today, they arrested 34-year-old Daisha Williams on assault and abuse charges and for failing to report crimes against kids. Queen City News reporter Shakira Speaks spoke with the parents of children at the preschool about the allegations.
You know, it's hard to believe that people go into a profession that they are already knowing, excuse me, whether by trial or by error or whatever you want to call it. I mean, most people have interactions with children throughout their life. You already know if you are don't have the patience or do not like the idea of having to deal with children on a regular basis. Furthermore, having to deal with them in a job setting. If you do not like that type of job, why would you put yourself in that situation? I don't I don't get it, and I nobody can really explain it to me. But let's continue.
Court documents show 16 Rosenwald Preschool Academy students are now victims of being abused by at least one teacher at the school, and one teacher was arrested for failing to report the abuse. And now parents want justice.
Definitely. She should be prosecuted to the fullest extent.
I think she should stay in jail.
Rosenwald Preschool Academy parents are disturbed
I
over
agree.
the charges against a teacher at the school accused of abusing 2- and 3-year-olds in her classroom. On Wednesday, Maiden police charged 46-year-old Cheryl Dobbs with 15 counts of assault on a child under 12 and 4 counts of misdemeanor child abuse. Court documents allege Dobbs repeatedly hit her students, even, quote, taking both hands and shoving a child to the ground.
I can't believe this happened because I've seen her. She was my child's teacher.
I was concerned, with.
You know what else? I think that maybe also those are people who do not have power in their own lives. Maybe they have an abusive husband. This is not an excuse. This is just like a reality. Maybe they have an abusive husband, father, older brother, or something, and they're having to deal with that on a daily basis, which I believe could manifest itself in that situation. Once again, it doesn't make it right, but I'm just saying that that's possibly how this is coming about.
Them being affected because they used to be in that classroom.
Police arrested a second teacher on Thursday in connection with the abuse allegations, 34-year-old Daisha Williams. Authorities charged her with failing to report the abuse to police and 1 count of misdemeanor child abuse and assault on a child under 12. The school director did not return our request for comment.
I feel like this is just a bad seed and that this doesn't reflect on the school.
One parent tells me despite the abuse allegations, she won't be changing her child's schools.
Huh?
For now, reporting in Catawba County, Shakira
What
Speaks,
the what?
Queen City News.
I don't understand what's going on with that, but never mind that. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing about that. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. But either way, I don't think that this is a wrongful. I don't believe that this is a wrongful arrest on their part, especially of the person who's like accessory to it. Because if you watch somebody commit murder, you're definitely going down for accessory to murder. That's how that works. Either way, though, with the lady who watched it happen, you would think the two adults could like make things make sense. If you're watching somebody abuse children, well, how long did you think that they were going to get away with this? Never mind anything else, because you didn't think it was going to come back to you eventually. Man, look, if you see something like that, you better say something. I don't care what people say about snitching or otherwise. You better say something, because that downfall, like if those parents choose to take justice into their own hands, which in the comments, that's what it looked like. If you guys hit the link in the bio, you'll be able to see in the comments, that's what these people are looking like. And this happened close to where I live. But that's pretty insane.
Married Alabama school lunch lady allegedly makes a shocking confession to a shocking act. She allegedly had sex with a student not just once, but twice. Now, you may be wondering, how does someone who works in a school in her 40s, seemingly happily married and a mom to 4 kids, end up in jail for having sex with a
Oh my goodness, bro. Married, 4 children. Married, 4 children, having sex with a student. Doesn't matter if that student is anywhere from 17 to, God forbid, 10, 12, because that's. Anyway, 4 children, you're married. What are you doing? Lusting after a child. What are you, like, you're a lunch lady. You can't just make it simple, do your job, and go home. I don't get these stories as far as how people get involved in this. It's so confusing to me because it definitely seems like there's nothing that is causing these people to have to be in these situations. They're just putting themselves in the situations themselves. Like, there's nothing more to it.
The minor. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. It is always shocking to see stories like this and to see how the life that someone projects on social media is not the reality of what apparently happens behind closed doors. This is Amy Wigginton. Many in her town of Rogersville, Alabama, are likely trying to process how she could be at the center of a sexual misconduct investigation because on Facebook, she identifies herself as a full-time mommy and wife, and she's active on social media, showing people that life. She posts
What's
picture
crazy?
after picture of her 4 children and her husband. Her profile may say full-time mommy.
What's crazy is that if you really look at majority of people who get discovered in one way or another way, whether it be fame or something like that, if you look at what they betray versus what they are, there's a clear difference between the two. And I wonder if this is like a human condition thing because why do people portray something that they're not in a lot of situations? Like a lot of people do that. I'm assuming for this situation, it's obvious because they were committing a crime, but it's just something that confuses me a little bit, I guess.
And wife, but her job is at the Lauderdale County Schools in Alabama. According to the Lauderdale County High School's website, she works for the Children's Nutrition Program, or CNP. So in many ways, she's a lunch lady. She lives in the northern part of Alabama. It's near the Tennessee border, not far from Huntsville. Now on social media, her life seemed frankly very regular. But police say there is much more to this story. Police confronted Wigginton just last week for having sex with a student. Local TV station WAAY looked at newly released court documents that show that when Wigginton was interviewed, she allegedly didn't deny it. The documents say that she waived her Miranda rights
She
and
both.
came out with what happened. Wigginton allegedly admitted to having sex with the student 2 times. Once, police say, on March 7th, the other, March 31st. So all of this happening very recently. Now, it's unclear how police learned of the alleged sexual misconduct, but it does appear that they moved relatively quickly in this case, arresting her on April 4th. As with many of these stories, and we frankly do them a lot here at Law and Crime, you're probably wondering once again, how does it get to this point? How does something like this allegedly happen?
That's
How does
always
a
my
mom
question.
who is regularly posting about her kids and their horseback riding end up in a story like this? Now, we have yet to hear her side of the story, but here's her mugshot from when she was in the county jail. And at the time of this recording,
rough.
she doesn't appear on the local jail's roster of inmates, so it does appear that she's bonded out. She was being held on a $100,000 bond. Now, she was charged with 2 counts of a school employee engaging in a sex act. There is an interesting.
You know, how do you get out on bond for a crime like that, but somebody can get booked for drugs or drug abuse? Well, I would say drugs, like trafficking drugs, and they'll deny their bond like all the way. That to me is crazy.
Interesting dynamic in this story, and it has to do with consent laws in Alabama. Now, all we know about this student at this point is that they're under the age of 19, and in Alabama, the age of consent is 16. So you might wonder, for as shocking as all of this is what we're talking about actually a crime in the eyes of the law? Now, this is what we found on a Huntsville, Alabama defense attorney's website about the 2 charges that Wigginton is facing. This is what it says, quote, "A person commits the crime of a school employee having sexual contact with a student under the age of 19 years if he or she is a school employee and engages in sexual contact with a student regardless of whether the student is male or female. Consent is not a defense to a charge under this section. Now, the crime of
Interesting.
school employee having sexual contact with a student is a Class C felony with a punishment of a minimum 1 year and 1 day in prison to 10 years in the state penitentiary with a maximum fine of $15,000. As for the school where Wigginton allegedly worked as a lunch lady, this is the statement that they sent out to media outlets after her arrest. Quote, "The Lauderdale
they got a
County Board of
statement.
Education is aware of the allegations and the employee has been placed on administrative leave. We will continue to cooperate with law enforcement officials and have no further comment on this matter."
All right, y'all. For context on this last one, I guess the dude offed his brother because he was sleeping with his girlfriend. Let's go.
See no physical evidence tying Raymond Childs III to those weapons. No fingerprints, no DNA.
He shot his brother once in the back of the head as he was watching television. Next to Elijah in bed was Elijah's girlfriend, Kiara Hawkins. The defendant shot her once through her right ear.
A teenager killed nearly his entire family, all because he left home without permission. An Indiana jury has just convicted now 21-year-old Raymond Childs III of murdering 6 people, including a pregnant woman who was nearly due to give birth amid what prosecutors allege was an argument that turned deadly. We're going to sit down with criminal defense attorney Bob Bianchi to get to the bottom of this case and look ahead to the sentencing. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
All right, so just for context, maybe I messed that up. Maybe that was in retaliation for him leaving or whatever the case might be. I got a little confused there with the headline.
A jury deliberated for just about 3 hours before convicting 21-year-old
Well, why kill your
Indiana
whole
man
family, bro?
Raymond Childs III of 6 counts of murder in the brutal slaying of his own family members. And his conviction came months after a judge declared a mistrial the first time around after a witness in his first trial verbally confronted him in front of the jury. So the 21-year-old, he was arrested a day after this horrific crime back in January of 2021, where he fatally shot his father, Raymond Childs Jr., his stepmother, Kazi, the couple's daughter, Rita, son, Elijah, and Elijah's 19-year-old girlfriend, Kiara Hawkins, who was pregnant. She was just about to give birth.
Gosh.
Now, there was one lone survivor.
Oh, man. He shot a pregnant lady. Oh, no. I mean, listen, it's bad enough if you obviously delete somebody, but if you delete somebody who's pregnant, you're never finna see the light of day again. It's over for you. I promise you, Cook. I don't care what your defense is. It's over for you. I promise you. People don't play about that. And to be honest with you, I can't really blame him either. Like, because even if you snuck out or whatever the case, like, what is the purpose of you doing all this, bro? Like, what's your reasoning for doing all this, bro? I don't. 6 murder, 5 murders and a unborn murder. Yeah, 6 murders, bro. And I guess the 7th is an attempt, because I guarantee you ain't leave this one without. That's crazy, man.
Survivor of this absolutely heinous attack, and that was Child's 15-year-old brother, who in court documents is referenced only by the initials XC. He was shot, but he was able to flee the house and escape the gunfire.
So he didn't kill him, but he was trying to.
Affidavit obtained by Law and Crime, XC told police what happened when he was rushed to the hospital. When XC was asked who shot him, he stated Raymond Ronald Lee Childs III. And it actually gets more heartbreaking from there, because when he's asked about his parents, this is what he says. When medical staff spoke with XC about locating his parents so that they could provide further medical care, XC stated, he shot them, I think they're dead. And XC was just 15 years old. But he's not only just a lone survivor of this attack, but he is a key witness who provided firsthand information to police and prosecutors about the brutality that had occurred. We'll get back to that in a second, but I have to address what's the lingering question here. I'm sure all of you have. Why? What could have possibly led Childs to literally execute almost his entire family?
Please let me know.
Apparently, it was due to a spat over whether he could stay the night at his girlfriend's home. Yeah. Childs actually left his family's home without permission to stay at his girlfriend's house.
All right. So here we are right here. I gotta speak on this. People are talking about parents not raising their children properly. I've noticed it a lot in this generation where people are too soft on their children and they don't really put discipline in place. And although the father was there, I have an idea to believe, and this is only an assumption, but I have an idea to believe that he was practicing gentle parenting or he was hands off with the children. Because there is no way that you get told no, you can't do something, and this is your response. There is no way. Either that, or I would say they need to look into this case more because it has to be a case of he was being abused. And I know that sounds like an excuse, but what else could cause like this is a drastic move to the edge. This is not a simple, oh, I got told no and then I ran away for a week. This is I murdered my entire family because I got told no. There's something deeper at play. I wonder what they, if they go into that. That's crazy.
And according to the probable cause affidavit, it reads, JD, this is Child's girlfriend, stated that on January 23rd, 2021, Child's III came over to her house to spend the night. While he was there, he got a phone call from his dad telling him to come home. JD stated that sometime between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. in the morning on January 24th, Childs III drove back over to the house in a white Chrysler. Childs III stated that his father had kicked him out. But we know that version of events is not true because Childs had actually gone home to kill his family before coming back to his girlfriend's house. To be clear, she didn't know about this when he came back, but a surprising phone alert would soon raise some suspicions for her. Why? It says, the probable cause affidavit, about 30 minutes after Childs III arrived back at JD's home, JD received an alert on her Citizens app that there had been a shooting on 36th Street. Soon after, there was another alert regarding a shooting on Adams Street, and this is where the family lived. JD asked Childs III if he knew anything about the shooting, and he said no. Now, if this isn't enough evidence so far that something terribly wrong had occurred, there is yet another suspicious situation that arises. This time, when JD drives Childs to a different residence in her Chevy Impala following the sleepover. Listen to this part of the affidavit about the evidence that Childs actually left behind, wrapped in a bundle of clothes. Quote, when they left, Childs III placed the clothes by his feet in JD's car. When they got to where Childs III wanted to go, he took the clothes with him. Shortly after JD pulled off, she hit the brakes and saw a magazine clip, meaning a firearm magazine clip, fly forward on the passenger's floorboard of her Impala. Detectives, they obtained a search warrant on the girlfriend's vehicle.
He ain't have nothing regular neither.
This magazine clip.
That's like an AR clip. What is that?
And detectives then tracked down Childs, arrested him after taking him to their homicide office. Now, I had mentioned earlier that Childs' younger brother, 15-year-old XC, would prove to be a very vital witness. But a few days after this incident, detectives talked with him more at the hospital, and he told them the exact timeline of the shooting as he saw it from inside that home. Quote, XE told them that before the shooting, his father had asked him to put some water in a bottle, so he went to the bathroom to fill it. At that point, he heard 2 gunshots. His father got out of bed, ran to the stairs, and said, "What was that?" He then heard his sister RC say, "Raymond shot Elijah." Another gunshot went off, and he heard his dad say, "I'm sorry, Raymond, I love you."
That's wild,
now,
bro.
XC was still inside the bathroom.
That's
makes
heavy,
escape
bro.
at this point, but Childs chases him outside. He even offered his older brother money to not kill him, promised he wouldn't say anything.
Oh, bro.
But Childs shoots him in the leg, shoots him again in the arm. And XC was somehow able to make it into a neighbor's home until police arrived, and he was rushed to the hospital. He made a miraculous recovery despite being quite serious critical condition.
Crazy,
and
bro.
as for the firearm in this case, there were actually 2 that were used. Police were able to recover one in the basement of the family's home, and the other they were able to retrieve after they received a call from a person who actually picked up Childs after the murder. He apparently told police when Childs III got into the truck, he was armed with a Draco firearm that AV recognized as belonging to Raymond Childs Jr. AV told Childs III to give him the gun because AV had a permit to carry the firearm, and Childs III complied. This witness, known as AV, then handed that weapon over to police. And you can see a picture there. Police were able to match some of the spent shell casings found at the scene to the weapon, and the other casings were matched to the 9mm handgun that was found in the basement.
All right, this is going to be the end of the video, y'all. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified anytime that I stream, upload, do whatever. Also, join the Discord, link is in the bio. Links to the original videos will be in the bio. And you guys, if you made it to the end of the video, I greatly appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody who watches. Thank you for being a part of the channel. I can't do this without you guys. Please understand that when you watch the videos, guys, or you click on the video, in order for YouTube to keep recommending the video, you have to watch the video at least halfway through, like the video, and subscribe and comment in order for YouTube to pick it up and say it's a good video. So if you guys can do that for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.